have decided to adjourn proceedings for a date to be determined by the programming committee. Agreement in terms of parties in the executive to actually find one another in proposals of the budget.
We must all know that this is unprecedented, and this is not a practice that we want to set for this parliament. It is going to be your legacy, Speaker, that during your tenure, Parliament could not debate and adopt budget. We are saying to you, you are denying this body an opportunity to be receiving a budget, debate it, accept it, or reject it. You are now subjecting the budget of South Africa to party politics when the budget is supposed to be above party politics. Let the budget be presented here.
The decision to postpone the budget speech is one that comes after infighting in the government of national unity. The reality is that the ANC tried to push through a 2% increase to the VAT, which was not approved by the government of national unity. Now, previously, of course, the government of national unity has had issues in terms of what exactly its purview is. What is the purview of the members other than the ANC? The ANC has been quite adamant in terms of controlling the narrative of the GNU and controlling the policy decisions of the GNU. The issue that comes through with a 2% increase to VAT is that it's a completely unpopular decision. It's an unpopular decision the ANC has decided to take because it desires to, in some sense, maintain its fiscal policies while still trying to maintain the integrity of the fiscus. And by this I mean the ANC has been on a mission to increase the purview of national government through the Bela Act, through the NHI, both bills or acts that work towards expanding the purview of the relative departments. The NHI, of course, expanding the purview of the Department of Health, and the Bela Act expanding the purview of the Education Department. Of course, the issue comes in with both acts when evaluating it tied to this issue of the postponement of the budget is the reality that they are quite taxing, right? We are talking about two acts that expand the purview of national government and require, in some sense, further investment from national government to ensure that they maintain their stature. If, for instance, one were to look at the Education Department that had the Bela Act introduced last year, the Bela Act, of course, expands the purview of the Education Department by allowing them or mandating that grade R becomes compulsory. It also, of course, requires that the Education Department is able to accept the duties that were once under the main purview of the SGBs. Of course, we are now talking about language allocations, as well as, of course, the reality of how SGBs operate in terms of the allocation of students and how students enter into those institutions. The issue really is that the departments are not equipped for this change, and the introduction of the act kind of put a tailspin in terms of how the departments were supposed to operate. If we again look at the circumstance, we are now seeing, for instance, in the Western Cape, that there are over 2,000 teachers that have been at risk of losing their job. That was reported last year. Some of them have been able to be serviced into another position or maintain their positions. There have been some kind of good positive news coming through on that account, but overall it hasn't been that great for the Education Department in the Western Cape and the Education Department in the entirety of the Republic. The KZN is also having similar reports in that respect. So that's one of the reasons that Mr. Inogorongwana gave when pointing towards the necessity for a 2% increase. The issue is, though, the government has put themselves in that position of needing more money. We're needing more money while still servicing a debt. It doesn't really make much sense. And in that sense as well, when you try to evaluate what exactly are the actions of government and how they are trying to really push through, you start to wonder, what exactly is the government of national unity supposed to be doing in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, are they supposed to be working for the benefit of the South African populace, or are they working purely for the benefit of themselves? It doesn't really make sense. The idea, of course, of the government of national unity is that each party will be really working towards their own self-interest and the interests of their constituents. By virtue of that fact, they would then work towards the betterment of all South Africans, because most South Africans would be represented by the Government of National Unity. Of course, we comprehend that the third largest party, the MK party, is not in cahoots with this establishment. The fourth largest, that of course being the EFF, is also not in line with the GNU, and we'll touch on them a little bit later. But for this purpose right now, we have to ask ourselves, what is the Government of National Unity supposed to be doing, and how is it supposed to be achieving whatever it's supposed to be doing? And I say supposed to be doing because we really don't know what the Government of National Unity has in terms of objectives, in terms of milestones. They are going to be operating for 5 years. They've already gone through their first year. In some sense, they're getting close towards the end of their first year in terms of power. We don't know where they are supposed to be going. And that, of course, is one of the main critiques of the Government of National Unity. The ANC within the Government of National Unity has been having quite a ball of a time in terms of trying to manage it all. The ANC, the DA, the PA, the Good Party, these parties are all parties that have no real experience in coalition government. But at the same time, the question becomes, does the ANC even know how to work with others? If we look back at the GNU of 1994, the one that included the National Party with the ANC, the National Party left that agreement under the argument that they did not have exceptional power within their ranks in the GNU. The same can more so be seen in this capacity with the Democratic Alliance, right? The Democratic Alliance, the PA, and the Good Party. It seems that the ANC is trying to steer the ship of the GNU while still wanting GNU partners to come through and play ball with him, which doesn't really make sense and doesn't really compute for me. The only way to make people stakeholders and take ownership of a decision is to have them involved in that decision. You cannot have individuals being told what they must do and act as if though they are going to be happy by the decision that you made. So what is the way forward for the ANC? Apparently they're looking towards a 0.75% increase in VAT. That increase is still not popular with any party in the Republic of South Africa. It's not popular with the MK party, it's not popular with the Good Party, it's not popular with the Democratic Alliance, it's not popular with the EFF. The ANC seemingly has no real partner to stand with it on a decision of this magnitude. And we must make clear, this is a massive decision. If it was not a massive decision, it would not have been delayed to this point. So where do we go from here? What can we expect? We don't know. Because the other issue with the ANC presently is that this is a G20 year. They are in extreme amount of pressure internationally, with the pressure of the United States weighing upon them, and the West in particular, while still having allegiances to the East. We then of course have that next year's local government elections. The year after that, 2027, it's going to be the NEC for the ANC, which will determine its future. It's 3 years of non-stop action for the ANC, and in this year it's begun on a bad and sour note. Can they rectify the issue? That's going to have to really come through in the upcoming budget speech, and we're going to have to wait and see on that account. But at this point, I wouldn't hold up much hope. From my perspective, they are going to increase the value-added tax. The other circumstances as well, I believe that they will increase the fuel levy as well. I also believe that in some sense, hopefully, they increase the amount of items on the exemption list for VAT, which will seemingly be a little bit more popular, cut more of government expenditure, maybe try to cull the waste within its cabinet, with its bloated cabinet. That of course is going to be something that will be applauded, or seemingly will be applauded by GNU partners. The issue however is that cutting to the cabinet will kind of hurt the whole idea of joining the GNU for a lot of parties like the Good Party, the PA, and the Democratic Alliance, parties that would seemingly not be able to garner this opportunity to get ministerial positions without the ANC's allowance of them in the GNU. That's just simply how it is. But in any case, we'll have to wait and see. From my perspective, enjoy the rest of your day. If you're fasting, hoping your fast goes well. Assalamu alaikum. Godspeed.